the Azure machine learning, how to set up an experiment. But I'll briefly go through some of the APIs, right, which are already available, and a marketplace of APIs where people put their own APIs. So, Augustine, ready to get started?
Yeah, please. Start on.
So, machine learning, this is like a introduction session. I'm not a data scientist like Nikolai, but what we'll be going through is like even without having much experience prior to this in machine learning or being an expert in any of the languages which you think are like really important, you can achieve a lot. You can create quite complex experiments, and that's what we look at. So machine learning, all of us, everyday life these days, we experience machine learning. So any examples which come to mind? Yeah, search suggestions, forecasting. Amazon, if you go to what product they recommend to you, right? Weather forecasting. So a lot of these examples. So yeah, this is the introduction to machine learning, and we'll talk about the Azure Machine Learning and Azure Machine Learning Studio in a bit more detail. So yeah, a lot of examples which you come across if you, go to Bing or any Google, you will see that all these. This is also one of the examples where you can sort by animations, and it will understand, or recommendations as we discussed. We'll look at these APIs in a bit more detail. This is the text analytics where the sentiment can be understood. Language understanding, which is used like we'll look at Lewis in brief, which is Microsoft's language understanding API. But yeah, so a lot of these we experience in our day-to-day life. I'm just rushing through because I want to spend most time on the actual experiment which we'll be doing, creating that, so that we get a feel of what can be achieved in Azure Machine Learning. So these are just some of the areas. There are plenty of more use cases you can think of. So we look at machine learning in action. Okay. Then we'll try and define what machine learning is in our context, rather. So it's not the Terminator 2 kind of a bot which we are talking about over here. So that will become clear. So what I do now is we just go through some APIs which are already out there, so that I can just rush through them, and then later on there are a lot of APIs built using machine learning which are already available, including recommendation engines, prediction APIs, clustering, segmentation. But what we look quickly is the cognitive service APIs, which are like really powerful. So I use the computer vision API, which can give you a lot of information about the images which you give over there. If it's a face, it will tell you the age, some features. Sorry? Yeah, so this is actually CNTK based. All these APIs are open source. Microsoft's deep learning toolkit, CNTK, which is open source. These are based on that.
Not OpenCV, not OpenCV. He's talking about the image processing.
Okay.
Getting the feature, yeah. Backend.
Correct. So it's based on our own Microsoft research algorithms. So if I just look at some of the other APIs, we've got the emotion API where we tell you the confidence of different emotions of a person. The face API, internally the emotion and the computer vision, if they detect a face, they get a lot of the details from the face API. Video, you can get text from videos. As I was telling you, even here it can recognize celebrities. So if you put Sachin Tendulkar, it will recognize. It can get text from videos, right? Speech, so speech to text. You've got custom speech where you can give custom training. So if there's background noise, you can upload your wave files with a manifest of what that text was, and even in those low voice or a peculiar accent which you might have, you can get very good results.
English for Indian language also, sir.
Sorry?
That's only for English?
Only for
English,
not Indian languages, but not only for English.
English, Spanish,
Yeah, so
German.
many more languages, but currently we don't have any of
No Indian
our
languages.
languages. Yeah, language understanding, like a really powerful one. So intents and entity recognition. Yeah, we can look at examples. So the good thing about here is if you go to these APIs, right at the bottom you can test them yourself. So any of those APIs, you can just go at the bottom and test. So in the computer vision, you can upload the image right there. Okay. SDKs, if you want SDKs for any language for any of these APIs, be it Android, Python, any of JavaScript, Node.js, you get them right here if you click on the SDKs. So these are all REST APIs, as Gandhali was mentioning earlier. Yeah, another one is Q&A Maker. So if you got a Q&A page for your, say, bank or whatever, wherever you're working, and you want a bot rather than, to, so a lot of, even though there are Q&A pages, a lot of people still call the help desk of banks. So this Q&A service coupled with the bot framework, when you create a bot, can be done in like 2 minutes, linked to any channel, Slack, Skype, which will take that as the base model, and then you can tweak the questions that, okay, this question can be asked in another way. So I'm just giving an overview. You guys can explore it in your own time, these APIs. The link is microsoft.com/cognitive services. Other than this, there is a whole Azure machine learning APIs which people have built, and you can find that on the marketplace. The one we built right now today, you can also deploy it there. So in our context, what machine learning is that given traditionally, if you were asked to do some prediction or a classification that will this person get diabetes, for instance, or not, you would have some kind of logic which you will write based on your hypothesis, and that's how the code. Machine learning works in a slightly different way. You train your model based on known data, right? And then once your model has been trained, we'll see what that exactly means when we actually build the experiment. You can then predict unknown data, right? So as you were saying, for what will be the temperature in Mumbai 10 years from now on this date. So if you got enough data, you could make a prediction with the confidence level. Correct. Supervised. So today we will be looking mostly at supervised learning only. We'll see what that is. Okay. So known data is data which is previous observations with a, since it's supervised, with a label, right? Unknown data is missing data which we've not trained the model using, but the model will be able to predict the values. And the model is built using the known data and some algorithms, and then once it's trained, it kind of gets some parameter value set. That's what you can think of it like. Yeah, we will have a look, when we actually do it, we'll go through this again in Azure Machine Learning. We look at the different categories of algorithms as well. We'll maybe come back to these slides at that point when we start building. Obviously, how much time do you have?
You have time, don't worry.
How about approximately?
Next is after Shri Kumar. I think so. I'll give you another half an hour for maybe.
Okay. So, what I thought we'll do today is let's briefly take a look at the algorithms. So, let's first look at classification. So, when we want to make prediction, so the first thing in machine learning, when I'm like not a data scientist, as I said, we've been using machine learning for about a year, and it's possible to achieve quite complex experiments you can create. So, but first thing you need to do for any experiment is you need to frame the question, okay, what am I trying to do, right? So, if your question is that given some past, say diabetes data, to predict whether somebody will get diabetes or not. So it is either yes or no kind of, then it's a classification kind of a question. So, and then you also need to, when you're framing that question, you also need to attach a percentage to it. So, for instance, if I'm just creating my experiment, I normally see, okay, 75, 80, 70% accuracy if my trained model can give me, we'll see how to calculate that. Then it's good enough for me. So, predict whether a person will get diabetes or not with 75% accuracy, if that is my question. So, classification is what it is, because I want to predict a class, whether yes or no. It can be maybe 3 different classes as well in some cases. Regression is like when you want to predict a value. So what will be the price of a stock, right? So that is a regression scenario. We, as I said, when we build the actual model, we go through this and we'll understand it better. But basic is classification is when we have got some values, and regression is when we are making finding a value, a particular value, we are predicting a value. So what will be the price of a stock? It is not limited to 2 options. Can be so for today's experiment which we are going to build, I thought it will be best if so I used Jennifer Marshman, one of her favorite experiments. So basically we take a data set from Kaggle. How many of you use Kaggle? Yeah, so a lot of you guys. So Kaggle is like a really good resource. So basically, yeah, you will find a lot of training data here which you can get, right? There are a lot of competitions in Kaggle, right? In fact, this is a data set from one of the competitions with prize money as well. There are jobs also, a lot of things. So Kaggle is a really good resource. So what the data which I have taken is to predict. So this is one of the competitions whether somebody will survive the Titanic or not. So they are one of the passengers. The data set they've given us some columns, okay, and based on that we have to train a model. And in Kaggle they also have some test data with which they would test our model. But okay. So that's what we have. So what I've done is, let's create a Azure machine learning experiment. So this is Azure ML Studio. I hope it's clear enough. Or yeah, at the back. So what we'll do is that we'll first of all create a new experiment. So there are a lot of pre-baked experiments for clustering, for classification. So you can basically just scroll over this. So this one is like a experiment whether a scheduled passenger flight will be delayed or not. So it will like create the whole experiment for us. But what we are going to do is we are going to start with a blank experiment. Now I already so I have this Titanic training data from Kaggle, right? What I'm going to do is, first thing you need to do in a machine learning experiment is that you need to get your data and then you need to process that data, okay? And from what I've heard from my expert machine learning colleagues like Gandhali is that, and even in my case, today it will not take as much time. Your maximum time actually goes in getting the correct data, you know, what you need to actually pass to the model. So you will get it from few sources, maybe you'll scrape the internet for some of that data and then you'll transform it. So let's have a look at the data. So this is the data set which we currently have. So the first one is passenger ID. So if you look at this data, so overall we have 891 rows and 12 columns. Yeah, and this one has 891 unique values, right? So passenger ID 1, 2, if you look at the visualization, it will be 1 to 899. So this is basically an incrementing number. Now when we are going to predict whether this person is going to survive the Titanic or not, this column, the passenger ID column will not make sense, because correlating this is not a good idea. But at the same time, when we want to test this, make a prediction in batch, we might want to just pass this passenger ID as an output. So we'll keep it, but we don't want to use this as to train the model. This is the main field. So currently in this training data, we have the label whether that passenger actually 0 is for did not survive and 1 is for survive, right? This will be a label. So in training, a feature is a column which we use to train the model, and the predicted column is actually the label. So this terminology, but we will see why that is important. The class, okay. So this particular column has 3 distinct values, and it is like first class, second class, third class, and the movie is anything to go by, and it had a major correlation with whether the person will survive. So we would want to use this column, but currently this is shown as a numeric feature. But values like class, which have only 3 distinct values, they are actually categorical features. So you will not perform numerical operations on this class, right? It's 1, 2 or 3, like a pin code. You will not perform any numerical action on it. So this is actually a categorical feature. We would want to use this to train the model. Name, okay. Now name, it has 891 unique values. Doesn't, for today's experiment, I'm going to ignore this. Name doesn't seem to have a correlation, but if you want to do some go and do some research, you might find that okay, these particular surnames were like very well-to-do surnames at that time, and they might have some relation. But then you have to manipulate this data to extract the last name and maybe get into some required format. But right now we are going to not consider this for our training purpose. Sex, maybe because again, they might be allowing maybe ladies to the live board first. That could be one of the. So we would want to consider this. Again, this is a categorical feature because it will be male or female. Age, yes, perhaps because maybe they allow younger people to board first or very old people to board first. This sibling present, okay, so this one, how many siblings of that person were with that person. So this might have a relation because maybe if you had, we'll see if it is correlated or not. So we might want to consider this sibling column. So we'll keep it. It's a numeric feature. This is parent-child. So if your parent or child was traveling with you, then this is what it indicates. When you're creating these experiments, many times you want to play around with the data. So maybe we could just have family present and combine these 2 columns, sibling and parent-child, and just have 0 and 1 values there. See how that particular experiment performs. Ticket. Okay. If this does not have any particular order or format in which this is, and there are few missing values. For I'm going to drop this column, not consider it for training the model. Fare has quite a few different values, right? Just like when we buy a ticket these days, very huge difference. So we will definitely consider this because it might have relation to the price of the ticket, maybe depend decide the class. Cabin, okay. This particular one has quite a few missing values. I think 687 out of 891 are missing. Though cabins are like at that time, they had cabins for maybe first class or people who paid some amount of money, and it could perhaps have a good correlation. But right now, we got a lot of missing values. Normally, when somebody was asking about feature engineering and getting the data, right data you want. Maybe if you had few values missing but that column seems important, you could do something like a mean or some calculation to actually fill in the data.
Or we can have default values.
Or you can have default values. Embarked, okay. This embarked is actually the location. If we go to the Kaggle data set, yeah, so this it represents three different Southampton or Queenstown. So this will be a category. We want to use this because it might have a relation, but this will again be categorical. So now that we've decided, now that we've decided, let's manipulate the data. So let's go to data transformation. Select columns in data set. So what this lets us do is it lets us remove columns, right? So what we do is we go to the with rules. We'll start with all columns, and then we'll exclude the columns which we just decided we don't need. Ticket was one we decided that we'll not consider.
Passenger ID.
Passenger ID we said that we'll not use it to train the model, but we'll still keep it because in the output of the prediction, if somebody is passing in a batch, you would want to keep it. One more. Name. Yeah. So these three we are going to exclude. Then what we are going to do is we are going to transform it. So we edit the metadata. So three of the columns we said four of the columns I think they were categorical in nature actually. So we select those columns. Class. So here what we're going to do is for them we're going to change them to main categorical. Next what we're going to do is we need to modify the passenger ID so that we don't send it as a feature to the model. Clear feature. And the last one, we are going to mention that the survive column is actually the label. Going to run it and we'll have a look at the data before we start with the actual training of the model. So now we've got a passenger ID, but the feature is removed from here. Survive is our categorical label, which is right. Class is our categorical feature, which is right. This is again a categorical feature. Gender is a categorical feature. Age is a numeric feature, which is again right. Sibling, numeric feature. Parent or child is again a numeric feature. Fair is a numeric feature. And embark is a categorical feature. So yeah, so we've got the data ready, and now we can start training the model.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You also mentioned
like we could do advanced feature engineering from the name or whatever. So could you
Yeah.
do something like for example extracting the last name?
Yeah.
Does that have to be done separately?
You can do a lot of the data manipulation. You can do a lot of the tasks.
So can you write code?
So here you can directly write Python or R code also.
Okay, good.
But a lot of the things are directly in the transforms. So you don't even need to write that. But if you got even your entire Jupyter notebooks can be directly.
Yeah, so you have execute R and execute Python modules.
Okay.
If you want to do any specific, use any Python or R libraries which are not available, which functionality is not available here, you can just add those modules as steps in your experiment. The data will be an input and then a data set would be an output, and you can do whatever transformation you want in Python or R. All the libraries are available. In fact, the Jupyter notebook entirely available on Azure.
So now we've got the data ready. So we've got around 890 records, right? Now to train the model, if we use the entire data set, how will we see how good the model is? So for instance, if we train it with 800 records and we use one of those records to test the model,